Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Happy Thanksgiving. Here's my no bullshit review on the 6.8 Western cartridge, along with my 6.8 Western rifle that I built up around the cartridge. So, 6.8 Western. What I like about the cartridge. It's a pretty versatile short action cartridge with a decent selection, not the best selection, but a decent selection of heavy for caliber bullets. And these bullets are being made by Berger, Sierra, Nosler, Hammer, and I've had the opportunity to test out a few in this rifle to see how they would work. And this year I settled on the 170 Nosler ballistic tip. It gave me all around equal accuracy and terminal ballistics out to 766 yards on my elk that I shot earlier this year. And I think it's a very versatile short action caliber. If you don't have anything like this or are willing to break apart another rifle to rechamber it into a 6.8 Western. So the recoil, especially compared or especially with putting a suppressor on the end of it, is super mild. I would say it kicks a little bit more than the 308. You can shoot a lot of rounds through it in one session, and you might it didn't bother me at all. So very mild recoil. The terminal ballistics are much better than the 308. Like I said, I had only shot a 308 before on elk and deer and antelope, but having more powder in the cartridge just lends to more energy on target downrange, and that in itself made me a more confident shooter, knowing that I could take those longer shots. Also paired with a better scope. My 308 had a 3:9, and this is a 6:24, so a lot better magnification, so I can see my target a hell of a lot better at those longer distances. So both of those really made me a more confident shooter at shooting at longer ranges and being more comfortable taking game at longer ranges. Okay. Now, the caveat to that would be the brass selection for 6.8 Western is just garbage. It sucks. Winchester is the big manufacturer of one, and let's just face it, Winchester doesn't make the best brass. Not when it's compared to like ADG, Lapua, Hornady, I think probably makes better brass than Winchester. And there's a few other companies out there that usually make pretty good brass for other cartridges. So brass selection sucks unless you want to pay like $5.80 per piece of brass through Robertson Cartridge Company. I don't have any firsthand experience, but they seem like a pretty well put together company just on the outside. And for a tight tolerance piece of brass, that might be something that you check out if you're looking at wanting to squeeze every bit of accuracy out of the cartridge. And then Browning and Winchester are really the only people that are making loaded ammo for it. So if you're not a fan of those, or they don't work in your rifle, and unless you reload, you're kind of shit out of luck for other manufacturers jumping on the bandwagon. So, all right, let's talk about the rifle. I had mentioned in my previous video that I'm going to take you guys through the rifle and tell you what I like and what I didn't like about it. All right, let's start with the cons, because why not? First of all, the cheek rest on this thing, although pretty good, the neoprene cover that MDT puts on it is trash. And I don't know why they did this. The way I had it folded up in my pack, carrying around the mountains, just with it moving back and forth, started to rub that neoprene cover off. And it was an easy fix for me. It just stuck on there with really, I don't know, whatever they use for adhesive. So it's pretty easy to take off. But I'm going to compare this to the other rifle that I have firsthand experience with, and that's the Christensen Arms MPR that my brother-in-law picked up in 308. Now what Christensen did was their cheek rest, their cheek riser, and underneath that neoprene cover that MDT does, it's just a piece of plastic, right? What Christensen does is they just mold their cheek piece out of carbon fiber, and it looks really good. It's super functional. There's no gimmicky neoprene cover on it that's supposedly supposed to, be more comfortable when you shoot. It just works well. It's simple, and I think it's superior in its toughness for riding around in a pack during mountain hunts. Okay, so that was one thing that I didn't really like. Is it a make or break? Nah, it's fine. It works just fine. I just took it off and it works fine. The Cutie Points on this, although if you're the type of guy that likes to run a sling with Cutie attachments, um, this rifle's got a few set up for you. One on the front, and then they've got one on the very back of the stock, and that's the same for both sides. What Christensen did, which I really liked, is they put a Cutie attachment up here, right in front of the folding stock mechanism. So that way, when the stock's folded, you can relocate the QD point over to this point in front of the folded action or folded stock, and you can have that slung off your body while the stock's folded. As it sits right now, you really can't do that in a comfortable way with the MDT. So that's something I wish MDT should have looked at, or they might fix in the future. Who knows? The next kind of gripe I had, and this is just something I found out on the range. I have a Trigger Tech Special 2-stage trigger in it, and I don't have a trigger weight, trigger scale, so I don't know what it's at. But anyway, for hunting, it's a perfect trigger. The trigger, the weight's good on it, especially with shooting with gloves on. You can feel the 2-stage through the glove. It's a great trigger for hunting. If you're at the range trying to shoot the tiniest groups possible, it's a little heavy. And in that case, I probably would have gone with like a Trigger Tech like Diamond, to where you can really get it down to under a pound for your trigger pull. So if you're the type of guy or gal that likes the lightest trigger pull, and likes that in a hunting rifle as well, I'd kind of lean towards the Trigger Tech Diamond over the Trigger Tech Special. The way I have that set up, though, to make it a little bit more accurate for me, what I found on the range was I have a really, really heavy first stage on the trigger, and there's a really definitive wall that the Trigger Tech trigger has in it, and that second stage is super light, or much lighter than the first stage. So I've kind of got it set up that way to where it gives me a better result for a better trigger pull to shoot smaller groups on the range. The next thing I didn't like would be make a dang polymer magazine. Although it's nice to have a metal mag, they're super durable. For for a chassis that they're selling as super light, why not pair it up with a lighter magazine, right? And I think if they could get a polymer mag built up with the same dimensions internally, so you can seat your bullets out longer, I think that would be a better pairing than a metal mag. So, because this is kind of a chunky boy with 3 rounds in it in a metal mag. So I think if you could save some weight and get a polymer mag, I think that would be a great addition that MDT could do. The other thing I wasn't a super huge fan of is the carbon fiber pistol grip that came with the rifle. It was all right. I think it was a little bit slippery. It fit my hand all right. I guess it didn't fit it perfectly that I kept it on there, but also the carbon fiber and the plastic started to separate. And I wish I would have taken a picture of it while I did it, but I fixed it with some super glue, and it's fixed. But anyway, it was like, I don't know, it was after like the first 100 rounds, it's just that carbon fiber started to separate. I don't know why, but kind of a quality control issue on their end that I wasn't too big a fan of. But anyway, I swapped it out with this Magpul Myad, and that was a pretty customizable grip for, I don't know, just hand placement. It's got a good grip on it too for, I don't know, it fits my hand good. So that's what I swapped it out with. So all right, let's move on to the pros. All right. First of all, it's a super lightweight rifle setup compared to my 308, my Ruger American 308. right? And because I'm not because I'm not weird, I weigh my rifle with ammo and my suppressor on it, the way I would carry it out in the field. None of this, let's just weigh it up with without any ammo in it to see what its bare weight is. Like, cool. Are you gonna use it that way? No. So anyway, relatively speaking, with a full magazine and suppressor on it, it's a pretty lightweight rifle, right? Um, and that's why I built it. Fits in the backpack pretty well once you fold up the stock. I'm using my Mystery Ranch. I don't know what it is, what the model is, but anyway, you can, you know, uh, break it apart where the meat panniard would be. I just fold that stock, stick it in there, and it's a pretty good. It doesn't stick out too far above my head. It's got a good height on it, so it's pretty compact in that respect. The action is from Defiance. This is their anti-X. It's really light. It's really good quality. Made right here in Montana. The barrel is a carbon 6 barrel, and they use a McGowan barrel blank out of Montana as well. They just ship it down to carbon 6, and carbon 6 wraps it. But it's a 20-inch barrel, and I said this once before. I think a 20-inch barrel is a pretty good, like barrel length if you're gonna run a suppressor on the rifle. It gave me plenty of velocity without it being too short or too long. And then you add a 6-inch suppressor on it. It's not a jousting lance by any means. Where if you had like a 24 or 26-inch barrel, you had a 6-inch suppressor on there, and you're kind of you've got a pretty long boy on your hand. So balance wise, I think the 20-inch barrel was a good call on it. I don't know if I'd go shorter. I wouldn't. 20-inch barrel is perfect in my case and what I'm using it for. The second focal plane reticle, that was another big debate on when I was picking up my scope, was where I went second or first focal plane. And the second focal plane lended itself very well to when I shot my elk, because I had about a half hour of shooting light left. So, and I didn't have time to turn on my illumination on the reticle. So I was just relying on the reticle itself to provide me with an aiming point, and with it being thicker than a first focal plane, I was able to pick up the reticle just fine to make a shot. So I guess I was really happy with the second focal plane reticle on this scope. I really do enjoy the positive clicks on the turret and the locking windage on the turret. I also really liked this flatline ops bubble level. I didn't use it on my elk because I was a little rushed, so I didn't check to see if I was level. But when you're on the range, it's nice to reference to see if your reticle's level for those longer range shots. The other thing that I really liked was this Gunworks stick suppressor. And now I picked this suppressor up specifically for this build, but I've also got it on my Christensen Arms CA556. And what I liked about the suppressor is, compared to my SIG SRD 762 suppressor, it is noticeably lighter. It's super light. And I love the really minimalistic taper mounting system on it. So it's not a brake, it's not a flash hider, it's just a way to mount the suppressor onto your barrel. So you save some weight there. And let's be honest, I really don't need a brake. I don't need a flash hider, because I'm not going to shoot this thing unsuppressed. I'm always going to shoot it suppressed, because suppressed life is good. So, in a nutshell, that's what I really liked about the rifle, and that's what I didn't like about the rifle. So, in a nutshell, 6.8 Western treated me pretty well. I shot a lot of rounds through it. It put meat in the freezer. Overall, I'm very happy with the cartridge. I just wish there was some more options out there for it, but maybe that'll happen in due time. Yeah, I'll continue using this cartridge for a long while. Why? Because I like it, and I got a lot of money tied up in the rifle, so let's use it. It's not a safe queen by any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This was my no bullshit review on the rifle I built and the cartridge. As always, if I missed something, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll answer them. I really do like answering questions. If you guys like 6.8 Western content, just give me support and subscribe to the channel. I'll have more stuff coming your way. Again, thanks you guys, and happy Thanksgiving.